Hello and welcome to the latest edition of the Sharesify podcast. This week I'm joined, as usual, by my good friends and colleagues Steve Frazer and James Crux. How are you, gents?
I'm very
Very
well.
good.
Um, so just to kind of put everybody in the picture, this week it seems that some of that doom and gloom around Iran and oil prices has lifted. We've got the FTSE up about 1.5%. We've got FTSE 250 up around the same 1.5%. S&P was up about 1.2% at the close last night, and futures are indicating up again another 0.5% maybe today. So good news for all those technical watchers. We're above that 200 DMA line that we mentioned last week that everybody was watching. And interesting, as I say, the focus seems to have shifted away from oil. And Steve, I've noticed some quite big moves over the end of last week and this week in memory stocks like Micron.
Yeah, I mean, it's such a hot topic at the moment because um, advanced memory stocks are really the knitting behind driving this AI boom. So we've had news over the last couple of months. Certainly, we've heard from the Koreans, Samsung and SK Hynix, for example, and they're very strong in that relationship, that ecosystem. Tonight will be really interesting to watch because you've got Micron Technology, which is a very big memory stock listed in the US. So it's due to report after the bell this evening. And crucially, it's the question is, what are they going to say about demand? I suspect very strong. And what are they saying about pricing? It's a bit of a double-edged sword, like most things. It helps the memory chip stocks themselves because they get higher prices for their chips, but it puts an extra cost pressure on everyone else down the supply chain and potentially into the wider economy. So they're the kind of read across that I'll be looking forward to seeing when they announce results about 9:30 tonight.
Right. Yeah, so been a good week. I mean, last 5 days, I think Micron's up 14%. Got SanDisk, another memory stock, up 16%. Western Digital up 18%.
Yeah. I mean,
I noticed.
SanDisk is worth noting because it's had a year where it's gone absolutely bonkers. And I think it only floated about 18 months ago, or maybe a bit less than that. I'd have to check that. But if you just look at the share price chart over the last year, it's just gone up like an absolute rocket. But of course, this inevitably ponders the question or poses the question, what is the valuation? And the valuation is pretty stratospheric. So it's putting that into a context. You can get these runaway leaders in any space, but particularly in the tech space. But eventually, investors start questioning the valuation
Uh,
and how much they're
another
willing to
thing
pay
worth
for
looking
this
at is
implied
we've got
growth.
the Fed. Right. Yeah. The other thing I was going to say is we've got to watch out for, I think tonight, isn't it, the Fed meeting? The 10-year US yield did pop. It went from about 3.9% to 4.3% when fears are at their greatest. But they're headed down again. I don't think there's any suspicion, no suggestion that the Fed is going to cut rates tonight. If you
No.
look at West Texas Intermediate, it's 50% higher than when they last met. It's over $90. So
Yeah,
there's no
yeah.
suggestion there's going to be a
And it's
rate
that
cut
we've
from the
discussed
Fed
this before, Ian
whatsoever.
and James. Ultimately, you've got that push-pull kind of factor. I mean, lowering interest rates is great for boosting the economy, but then you get these big kind of price shocks, which layers the economy with extra cost. So at the moment, you can really see central bankers saying, let's wait and see how things play out for the next few weeks or even months.
Yeah. What's appealed to you this week, James? What's been on your radar?
Yeah, more action in the trust related space, Ian. So we've had Liontrust has agreed to acquire River Global's asset management arm. That sort of expands Liontrust's range of trust. It brings India Capital Growth and River UK Microcap into a fold that already includes Edinburgh. And then we had sort of F&C, the world's oldest trust, announced a rare year of underperformance, but it also declared its 55th consecutive dividend increase and proposed a 4-for-1 share split. So people have to focus on the long run performance rather than one sort of down year. And then obviously we had this Scottish mortgage news as well, where they're looking to increase the capacity to invest in private. So I know you did a bit of work on that on the website, didn't you, Steve?
Yeah, I mean, it's pretty straightforward. They're not really asking to be given the keys to the crown jewels here. They're asking for basically a bit more flexibility in the way that they invest, because some of their private holdings have really escalated in value. So, as an example, their stake in SpaceX, it's their biggest stake in the fund at the moment, but it's gone up from about 8% of their entire portfolio to about 15% of their entire portfolio. Now, they can only invest up to 30% of the portfolio into private companies. So that's already sitting there now at half that allocation. So
Mm,
they're just asking investors, look, back our plan. We love the idea that private companies have almost unlimited upside to them, and very capped downside. Back our judgment and give us a little bit more flexibility as we go forward. And I think it's a great idea.
yeah. Um, Also, Steve, you wrote up Trustpilot this week.
Yeah, yeah. I don't want this podcast to be all about me, but I mean, what knockout results they were. And it's just, it's a company I've followed for quite a long time, and it's a company I also have a personal stake in. I interviewed their FD a long time ago now, and I was really impressed with their long-term game plan. And it's been in the doldrums for at least a year, probably a couple of years now. But we really are starting to see them leveraging AI into their system and making it a really value add to their end clients effectively, which are on the one hand paying clients, the corporates, and on the other hand, people like us, or we use Trustpilot increasingly to assess certain businesses and services. So really knockout growth figures, margins strengthening, lots and lots of very good news, and the shares jumped 26%, I think, on the day. It really was quite amazing.
Yeah. Yeah, it was extraordinary. We've actually got another big jumper today, Diploma. Other end of the scale. I mean, as dull as you like, it manufactures, not dull to be fair, but it manufactures, you know what I mean? Dull is in a good way. It manufactures and distributes seals and controls for the aerospace sector, car sector, med tech, and renewables. And they just came out with a significant increase, they said, to full year earnings, sales, and margins guidance. So that stock jumped something like 15-16% today.
Brilliant.
It looked really oversold. In fact, when you go back, it was this was a good chance. This is a quality compounding
Yeah,
company. That was a really good chance to buy. It was as oversold as it was back in
right.
April last year. You get these opportunities
Yeah,
maybe once a year in these stocks. You've got to keep your eyes open,
yeah.
and the
And isn't
thing's
that
just
great?
taken off.
I mean, it's a great value add for us retail investors ultimately, because we don't have the responsibilities that fund managers have to allocate a certain way, manage risk in certain ways, and so we really can make bets when we see there's a good opportunity. And yeah, I mean,
Yeah.
it's such a long-term, well-run business, isn't it?
It really is. There was less good news for Close Brothers this week. Now, of course, they've been in the eye of the storm because of motor finance commissions. Them and Black Horse, which is owned by Lloyd's, are kind of the two names that everybody's been talking about. Well,
Yeah.
a firm called Viceroy Research put out a note on the company called Commission Impossible, and it was saying that they're short sellers, and they said they are short the stock, and they think the company hasn't provisioned enough. In fact, they're saying they've systematically underreported their level of exposure. Now, we've got no axe to grind in this whatsoever, but the stock took a bit of a beating, and then it came out with a trading update, and that didn't. At one point, that was down again really hard. It's had a bit of a recovery. Anyway, we'll see what happens. The FCA has been dragging its heels over this report for absolutely ages.
Yeah.
What are we looking forward to still? You've got a couple of things on the radar, haven't you, James?
Yeah, well, we had the a profit upgrade from Wix yesterday, so tomorrow we've got DFS, another sort of home
Oh,
improvement,
okay.
home related stock. Anyway, let's see if they can deliver another upgrade. I think they nudged guidance up in January, so we'll see what they deliver. And then we've got Weatherspoons on Friday. The ever colourful Tim Martin. His comments are always closely watched, so he'll probably be bashing Rachel
Mm,
Reeves and will give it his thoughts on the wider
Yeah.
pub sector. Some
Yeah.
really
Yeah.
interesting ones. Yeah.
And
yeah.
and look, worth looking at for Smiths as well. I think they're out on Friday. I
Yes.
mean, it's it's in that kind of defence aerospace space. Ultimately, it's been a gangbuster stock. It's really been driven by, I suppose, geopolitical environments to some degree, but it's had some really blistering years. So again, it's going to be that question about, can it justify the valuation that's got a bit on the inflated side?
Yeah, I'll be looking at Intertech and Judges, again, two what you would call quality compounders.
Yeah,
Been
Judge is
out of
great.
favour. Judges has had a bit of a hard time recently, but we'll see what they have to say. And I think, guys, that just about sort of wraps it up from us, except to say, Steve, that we have James, we have a special guest on, do we not, on Friday?
We do. Are we allowed to say? Or
Yeah, why not?
yeah, so we've got JP Morgan Claverhouse coming on to talk us through the strategy and their sort of formidable dividend growth record. So do tune in for that one.
Yeah, absolutely. That's Friday. Friday, it'll likely go out, won't it? So yeah, brilliant.
Yeah. With that, thanks for watching. If you liked, please tick the like and subscribe on YouTube or whichever channel you are watching this on, listening to us on. And if you're a company and you want to come on, or a fund or a trust and you want to come on, just email us at editorial@sharesify.com. As always, we'll see you on Friday.
Take care, everyone.
Take care.